The show begins with a young couple about to end their relationship. Neon believes they can still be friends after the ordeal. However, Jung Chang doesn't want to be her friend, especially since she hasn't given him a reason for their breakup. He simply agrees to end the relationship and hopes they never see each other again. The scene then shifts to many years later, when Neon wakes up from the same dream. She's puzzled about why she keeps dreaming about her ex, even though they broke up many years ago. Just then, she gets a call from her boss, who asks her to come over for some important work. Neon initially pretends to be sick because it's her day off and she wants to rest, but when her boss mentions overtime payment, she quickly agrees. In the following scene, Neon and the other employees gather in front of the company's building to await an important business client. However, when the client arrives, Neon is shocked to see that it is none other than her ex-boyfriend, Jung Chang. She quickly puts on sunglasses and prays that he doesn't recognize her. Afterward, she approaches her boss and informs him that their company's technical manager won't be able to come in today. Therefore, he asks Neon to pretend to be her and assigns her to represent the company during the brief test. Our girl tries to refuse, but she is once again persuaded by the promise of more money. Later, Neon nervously greets Jung Chang and makes him a cup of coffee. He asks her to describe the product, but Neon, as a regular employee, has no idea what it is. Jung Chang is unimpressed and says it's a shame she doesn't understand her own product. He then unexpectedly rises and gets closer to her. Feeling anxious, Neon finally removes her sunglasses and says she's glad to see him after such a long time. Yu Chang greets her casually, as if he's not surprised to see his ex. Just then, they both collapse to the ground together, and the situation gets awkward, so they get up and resume their work conversation. After this, Yu Chang scolds her for being unprofessional and pretending to be someone else. He then starts interviewing her about the company while recording their conversation. Once he's done, Neon's boss asks if they passed the review, but our hero responds that he will disclose the results later. Later, in the car, Yin's assistant warns him not to get involved with Neon again. It's then revealed that he deliberately planned this business meeting just to meet his ex-girlfriend. His assistant reminds him of how she ditched him before and warns it could happen again, but our hero doesn't care and seems determined to win her back. Meanwhile, Neon discovers the recorder and rushes to Yu Chang's car to return it. He then invites her inside under the pretext of giving her advice for the product evaluation. Yu Chang says he will consider doing business with her if she answers his questions honestly. However, the first thing he asks is if she has a boyfriend, to which she says no. He then asks if she has any plans to marry, which she once again declines. Finally, he asks her why she ended their relationship years ago, but this irritates Neon, so she gets out of the car without giving a reply. The next day, she's at the office when Yu Chang unexpectedly appears. He claims to be there to meet her boss, but Neon says he's not available.
Yu Chang then asks her to drive him to the airport, explaining that he needs to leave for a business trip. He says that his driver is drunk and he's running late. Hearing this, our girl reluctantly agrees to drive him to the airport. On the way, Yu Chang casually asks about her mother, to which Neon responds that she had been diagnosed with cancer but has recovered. He's shocked to hear this because he had no idea. Yu Chang remarks that Neon must have been very upset during those difficult times. However, he promises that everything will change now that he's returned. Days later, while at work, Neon learns from a colleague that Yu Chang got into an accident at the construction site while caring for the workers. This worries her, so she takes the day off and rushes to the hospital. She even buys flowers for him, but security guards prevent her from seeing him. Right then, a woman named Ru Lin appears and introduces herself as Yu Chang's fiancée. She takes the flowers from our heroine and promises to hand them over to him. However, as soon as Neon leaves, Ru Lin orders the security guards to throw them away. While Neon is on her way home, she receives a call from her co-worker who says that the company is being acquired by Yen's firm. Before she can process this information, Neon suddenly feels sick and lies down on a bench. She then hallucinates Yu Chang approaching her and feels happy. A regretful Neon apologizes to him for ending the relationship and says that she wants him back. Through a flashback, we learn that she was the one who pursued him, but when they eventually started dating, she felt that he took her for granted.
Yu Chang would often make her wait while he was engrossed in his studies. Then, one day, she overheard him talking with his teacher about studying at Columbia University. Neon was upset that he didn't discuss it with her and feared he would abandon her. Therefore, she decided to end things to avoid potential heartbreak. In the present, Neon wakes up in her apartment feeling disoriented and confused. Her roommate then informs her that her boss found her unconscious and brought her home. Hearing this, Neon is slightly disappointed as she thought it was Yu Chang who found her. Later, at the office, the director informs everyone that Yen's company is acquiring their business. He explains that despite his best efforts, they're running out of funds and can no longer operate independently. The employees are then given the option of staying with the new company or seeking other jobs. Neon finds herself in a difficult situation because she doesn't want to work under Yu Chang and his fiancée. After some thought, she decides to resign and look for another job. That night, a depressed Neon visits a bar with her best friend and begins drinking. She explains that she just lost her job and the love of her life, too. Later, while her friend is in the bathroom, Yu Chang unexpectedly shows up and approaches Neon. She thinks he must be another hallucination, but he says he's actually real. She then tries to unbutton her shirt, but he stops her from going too far. Seeing her so drunk, he takes care of her and decides to escort her home. Hours later, Neon wakes up in a car with Yu Chang sitting in front of her.
She feels embarrassed and wants to leave quickly, but he stops her. He then asks Neon to sign a document and agree to work at his company. When she refuses, Yu Chang shows her a picture of her drunken state and threatens to send it to her mother. This finally convinces our heroine, and she reluctantly signs the document. The next day, she arrives at the new company where Rulin is welcoming the new employees. Despite being 5 minutes early, Rulin begins to scold her, saying she should be at least 15 minutes early. But right at this moment, Yu Chang suddenly appears and defends Neon. He points out that she is indeed on time and tells Rulin to proceed with the onboarding process. After this, everyone starts murmuring that the boss is going against his fiancée. This makes Yu Chang very angry, and he clarifies that Rulin is just his business partner, not his fiancée. He also scolds the employees for gossiping and urges them to focus on work instead. In the next scene, Neon starts working in the sales department of the new company. However, due to her lack of experience, she faces many challenges and makes many mistakes. Yu Chang notices her difficulties and tries his best to help her. He leaves her documents with detailed notes and guides her through the process. With his encouragement, Neon gradually improves and begins to excel in her job. One evening, she thanks Yu Chang for all his help and decides to treat him to dinner. However, on their way to the restaurant, they run into Neon's roommate with her childhood friend, Boang.
The four of them then head to her apartment, where Neon starts cooking for everyone. Boang introduces himself to Yu Chang and reveals that he came tonight to propose to Neon. He asks if there's something going on between them, but our hero clarifies that they're just colleagues. Soon after, they all sit down for dinner, and the atmosphere becomes tense. The two men begin arguing over the food, which annoys the girls greatly. The group then decides to play a game, and at one point, Boang kisses Neon. This makes our hero very angry, and he begins slamming back drinks. After some time, everyone retires to bed, but Yu Chang is too drunk to go home. He asks Neon to drop him off, to which she agrees. Once they arrive, Yu Chang sobers up and invites her to watch a movie with him. He then asks about her relationship with Boang, and she reveals that they're just childhood friends. However, Yu Chang is dissatisfied with her response and claims that they had an intimate moment earlier. He even demonstrates by kissing her, prompting her to pull away immediately. Afterward, Neon gathers a bunch of ingredients and makes a drink. She gives it to Yu Chang, explaining that it's a potion that will make them forget they ever dated. After the two consume it, Neon says they are back to strangers now. At this moment, Yu Chang unexpectedly confesses that he likes her and wants her to be his girlfriend. Neon is speechless upon hearing this and doesn't say anything. The next day, she can't stop looking at Yu Chang during a work meeting. Later, she becomes so distracted that she ends up crashing into a wall while gazing at him. Embarrassed, she doesn't want to get up, so Yu Chang lifts her in his arms and carries her to his office.
He then tells her that if she wants to see him, she can simply come to his office rather than hitting a wall. During lunch, Neon hears strange noises coming from the hallway. She looks out and sees one of her colleagues kissing a man. Neon immediately takes out her phone and starts taking pictures. Afterward, the same man appears in front of her and introduces himself as Zhang, the head of the production department. He asks to see the picture she took earlier, but Neon denies taking any and hurriedly leaves.
Soon after, one of her colleagues warns her to stay away from Jung, even though she doesn't explain why. The following day, Jung invites Neon to his office and asks if she's adjusting well to the company. She replies yes, and they chat for a while. The shady jerk then claims that his computer is broken and asks for her assistance in repairing it. Our innocent heroine agrees to help him and goes to check his computer. During this time, Jung suddenly approaches her and starts touching her inappropriately. Neon tries to defend herself, but she's helpless against such a large man. Fortunately, Yu Chung arrives to rescue her and starts battering Jung. He becomes so aggressive that a scared Neon has to pull him away. In the aftermath of this incident, he comforts her and escorts her home. Neon feels disgusted by what just happened and begins scrubbing herself impulsively. While sleeping, she recalls the events and breaks down in tears. Yu Chung becomes concerned for her and calls to comfort her. She admits to being scared, so Yu Chung asks her to stay on the call while he works, hoping that the keyboard sounds will help her relax.
The next day, Neon is approached by the co-worker who had previously warned her to stay away from Jung. The woman reveals that she used to work in the production department, where Jung frequently sent her harassing messages. Over time, his abuse escalated, and he began physically harassing her as well. Hearing this, Neon expresses her desire to report him and asks if the coworker has any evidence. The woman agrees to help and provides her with some chats and pictures of Jung's exploits. In the evening, Neon decides to go live online and bravely tells her story about being harassed by Jung. She also reveals his exploitation of other female workers over the past few years and shows the receipts. The news quickly goes viral, and many people begin to offer their support. A little while later, Neon goes outside to clear her mind, but doesn't notice a car approaching her from behind. Yu Chung arrives just in time to save her, but suffers minor injuries in the process. When they return to her apartment, they discover Neon's roommate cowering in fear behind the sofa in the dark. It turns out Jung had sent some thugs to harass Neon and cut off the power. After her terrified roommate leaves, Neon goes to stay at Yu Chang's place for the night. While she's bandaging his wounds, he suggests that she move in with him temporarily. Our heroine tries to refuse, but he eventually convinces her by emphasizing that it's for her own safety. The two then start discussing the next steps on how to deal with Jung.
The conversation unintentionally leads to the mention of Rulin, which makes Neon jealous. However, our hero gives her a kiss, asking if that's enough to calm her worries. The following morning, they discover that the live stream was successful, and Jung is arrested for his actions. Later, at the office, Rulin approaches Neon and chastises her for causing problems for the company. She tells her to resign to avoid embarrassing Yu Chang further. However, this time Neon defends herself and declares that she will not back down. She also confesses her feelings for Yu Chang, explaining that they're in love. Therefore, she asks Rulin to stay away from her man and not flirt with him anymore. This enrages Rulin, and she threatens to kick Neon out of the company. But Yu Chang arrives at the scene and asserts that Rulin lacks the authority to make such a decision. He makes it clear that if Neon is fired, he will leave as well. The two then leave the office together holding hands. When they arrive at Yu Chang's place, Neon is surprised to see that the entire space has been redecorated and filled with her favorite things. She's moved by his gesture and thanks him for everything. Neon eventually agrees to be his girlfriend and apologizes for the pain she caused him in the past. This excites our hero, and they end up making love that night. The following morning, the couple wears their old high school uniforms and walks around the park where they used to hang out. During this time, Neon opens up about their breakup, revealing that she overheard a conversation between him and the teacher. She admits that she was afraid he would leave her, so she ended the relationship before that happened. Hearing this, Yu Chang is a bit upset, but he understands her concerns and is just glad to have her back. The two then embrace each other and relive memories from their past as the drama comes to an end.